Hey Rebels, how you doing? It's Lorraine Music of glindasguidance.com, and in this video I want to share with you why I think starting out learning to read tarot, it is great to work with the Rider Waite Smith deck. I know what you're thinking. Boring. Ugh, nobody likes that deck. It's so old-fashioned, it's patriarchal. There's a list of reasons people really can't stand the Rider Waite Smith tarot and they want something else, not least of which is to mention it's not nearly as pretty as so many other decks out there. I get that. I hear you. I started with something else, I really did. But if you want to learn tarot, really learn tarot, dive deep and understand the fundamental structure of tarot, then truly the Rider Waite Smith deck is one of the best decks you can pick out to start working with. I'm not going to tell you not to expand your tastes and get something else as soon as you can if that's what you really want. But what I'm going to say is it makes reading really clear. It's easier to interpret. Every book out there is based on Rider Waite Smith now, I'm set aside, please set aside Tarot de Marseille, the Thoth deck, Tahota, however you want to say it, okay, because those are slightly different systems. And yes, I know that some of them are older than the Rider Waite Smith. Rider Waite Smith joined us in about 1909, 1910, so it's, modern. Okay, but there's a lot of material out there based on the Rider Waite Smith. Everything from symbolism to colors to the images that Pixie gave us on the pips, which is so phenomenal and has made intuitive reading so much more accessible to everybody today. Okay, so I want you to consider it. Yes, there are other things out there that you can use, but I want to show you why I think it's so important to start with the Rider Waite. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to be back in just a moment. Okay, let's talk about why I think the Rider Waite Smith is such a powerful deck and why many people who accept the advice to go and just start working with any deck that resonates with you, any deck that you like the imagery for. I think that's really good advice because let me tell you something, if you are interested in learning tarot, pick up any deck that you like because I'd much rather have you have an interest in tarot and be intrigued by it than not pick up the practice because you don't like the Rider Waite Smith, okay? So please don't take this the wrong way. But if you want to go deeper and learn the foundation, even if it's not your first deck, let's make it like your second or third deck, okay? Get the Rider Waite. And here's why. When I first was out there and I heard, oh, get whatever deck resonates with you, let me tell you what I saw and I was fascinated by, and it's a really popular deck and it's a really wonderful deck, the Wild Unknown Tarot. It's luscious. Okay, so maybe you've seen this. Lots of black and white images, a lot of nature, really fabulous, okay? This is the deck. So I picked that up and I went, oh, what does that mean? I don't get it, okay? Here's another one I saw. Love, love, highly recommend you get this at some point. The Alice Tarot. Okay, now this is the Four of Swords in the Alice Tarot. I just showed you the Four of Swords in the Wild Unknown. Here's another deck that's become really popular and it's one that I happen to adore. This is the Tattoo Tarot, also the Four of Swords. Okay, now I want to show you the boring old Rider Waite Smith and why I think it's so great, okay? Rider Waite Smith, Four of Swords, and this you're going to have lots of interpretations and lots of books that are out there, and it's going to tell you all kinds of wonderful things about the symbolism of this deck, where to look, what the story is, etc., okay? This is real clear to me. And it's real clear based on what books are out there about what there's, a central figure. There's always something here. I think the simplicity of what Pamela Coleman Smith did in her artwork, the simplicity of it makes it really easy to draw your eye to things, to see the symbolism. It jumps out at you, which makes it easier when you're first starting to interpret something versus, now let's just look at some of these others. Okay, the Four of Swords from the Alice Tarot. Take a moment, you got to think about it, what jumps out to you. This is a really busy image. Now when I start adding a whole bunch of those busy images together, it starts to get very confusing for the eye and it's really hard to see. These are beautiful, please don't get me wrong, I read with them all the time, but when you're first starting out, simpler, cleaner can be better. Now if you're a real nature buff, this might mean something absolutely perfect to you. Okay, this might stand out and you go, oh my gosh, I know exactly what that means to me. It's very, very clear to me. If I were looking at this the first time, I was thinking, gosh, what's going on with the third eye of this calf? Probably this calf knows that all of these swords are about to come in. It looks like slaughter him, maybe, possibly. I don't really know. Okay, so this is the difference. This is what I'm talking about. We've got the Rider Waite Smith, Alice, Tattoo Tarot, Tarot of the Wild Unknown. Sorry, I got to peek over my cards to see you, okay? It's not that there's anything wrong with those other decks. It's that this one, to me, simply speaks the clearest about the symbolism of the deck, which is why I recommend Rider Waite Smith. Let me show you another example. Okay, so again, I've got the Rider Waite Smith, the Wild Unknown, the Tattoo Tarot, and Alice. And here we have the Four of Wands. Now, this is pretty easy to see that colors pop out at you, a little castle pops out at you, a couple that looks like they're celebrating is popping out at you. That, to me, is very simple to read. Okay, now we have the Wild Unknown, very popular, very beautiful, absolutely stunning to look at. And then, personally, I think it takes a little time to absorb this, to decide what it is. When I first started out, it was confusing to me. This feels more like a Tarot de Marseille. It feels more like the pips are less scenic. So now it looks like a little God's eye, doesn't it? And then I really got to think about in my mind, what does a God's eye mean? How does that connect to what I saw in the Rider Waite Smith, okay? The Tattoo Tarot. Hey, beautiful flowers, absolutely love that. There's just not a lot of action in this, so it's a little bit more difficult. I have to sit with a little bit more to get meaning from it. When I was first starting, that felt frustrating to me, okay? And then the Alice Tarot. I love this one, okay? But Lobster is celebrating, I mean, unless you really, really know the story of Alice Through the Looking Glass and the Alice in Wonderland, this might not be really obvious to you. And then when you're reading other books, or if you do go down the path of learning the fundamentals, then you're going to wonder why they're mentioning this bright yellow when here you have a cloudy, kind of a cloud and storm, and this one's very clear skies. It looks real sunny. Why there's lobster here and what they're doing on the shore. I mean, did they get away? I'm not quite sure. Versus these people who have like that little awning and it looks like they're inviting people in. Okay. So that is why I recommend the Rider Waite Smith deck as a place to start. Now it's less obvious, I think, with some of the major arcana. Let me show you. Again, Rider Waite Smith, the Emperor, says the Emperor. Okay, the Wild Unknown, the Emperor. But again, I don't get the same feeling from a tree that I do from this gentleman sitting in this very uncomfortable, concrete-looking chair in the desert. That's just me, okay? And then we have the Tattoo Tarot. Okay, this is a little closer. We've got similar coloration. We've got the crown. But he looks pretty wistful to me looking off in the distance. And this one, not so much. Staring right at me, knows what's going on, right? And then we've got the Emperor from the Alice Tarot. I love this. I absolutely love it. Just a really mythical creature. I can't remember what he's called, but this is in the Alice Tarot. Again, though, very different interpretation. This one, I'd probably rush off to the book. This one, I feel like there's several symbols here that I can read from just intuitively that I already know from life experience, and I don't need a book to get it. Okay, does that make sense? Do you see why I would recommend that you start with the Rider Waite Smith? It's really clear. The characters are very clear. The symbols are very clear. The colors are very clear. They interact with one another very clearly. Characters will either look at each other, away from each other, toward you, away from you. And there's so much that we can learn from that because it really does show up a lot in our everyday experience. It's not that other tarot decks aren't fabulous. They are, but I highly encourage you to get a Rider Waite Smith, one of the classic ones, if you're going to start learning tarot so that you can understand the foundation. I think it was Picasso that said, know the rules so that you can break them. All right? I'm asking you to know the Rider Waite Smith so you can break outside of the Rider Waite Smith and you never have to use it again if you don't want to because it doesn't resonate. I have fallen head over heels in love with it though, and my students that join me in my class, at first they're like, I don't really want the Rider Waite Smith, I want to learn with something else. And then there's an appreciation that comes for the Rider Waite Smith when suddenly things start to pop for you and it becomes easier to have readings. You have more clarity, more direction, more advice in that little deck. You are going to be so impressed, I promise you. All right, if you have any questions about why I recommend the Rider Waite Smith, please drop me a line. I would love to hear them. Otherwise, you have a great day. All right, thanks for watching the series. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out past the end. I thought it would be a nice idea for me to show you more clearly the decks that I use to give you examples, okay, and where you can find them. I'll put links below as well. The Alice Tarot by Baba Studio, honestly incomparable. It's one of my favorite all-time decks. If you can get your hands on it, I do think it's out of print, but if you can get your hands on it, sometimes it shows up on eBay or the Tarot Marketplace. I would highly encourage it, especially if you're an Alice fan, okay? The artwork is absolutely exquisite, all right? So that's that. And then we have the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot, which is done by US Games, and actually you can find this right on Amazon, which is really great, very convenient. It has an incredible book that comes with it. It's very lively, it's very expressive. I think it's a wonderful deck to work with, and especially once you know the Rider Waite, you can see the nuances that she put into her art that are really, really clever. Okay, so that's that one. And then of course I think the Wild Unknown is one of the most popular decks out there today. Again, you can find this on Amazon. I'm not sure if the cover is a little bit different now. This is a first edition. But this one you can find on Amazon. Also stunning. Oh, look, here's some pictures. I know. This is why everybody wants this deck. It really, really is stunning. And this one, even if all you're going to do in the beginning is look at it, it's another fantastic deck to have, okay? And then, of course, any regular Rider Waite Smith, Radiant, Universal, etc. And I'll do a video on those for you as well so you can tell the difference, but those are also available on Amazon. All right? Regardless of the deck that you choose, I hope you have a phenomenal journey to learning tarot and enjoying the expansion of your tarot knowledge over the course of time as you evolve. All right? Thanks again. See you later.